well, it's been a wee while since we talked about PESC on the show, probably over 6 months now. In that time, the qualification series has been run and won at the back end of 2024. The reason why we're talking about that is Josh Rogers, two-time champion, one of the best Australian drivers, I think most people would agree, won the qualification tournament. So this is pretty big news because Josh himself hasn't run in the Porsche Evolution Supercup for the past 2 years. Reasons we believe is because he is actually being, for lack of a better term, brought out by Rennsport to head their esports. I've got no proof on that apart from the fact that he's just racing in the Rennsport system all the time and doesn't race in the PESC. It hasn't for the last 2 years. And when you're one of the arguably the top 3 drivers in the world and the prize pool is $200,000 US, it would probably take a fair bit of convincing not to run in the Porsche Evolution Supercup. Would you agree, Scotty?
Yeah, money's
especially when you've run that prize pool. Yeah, well, when you're esports racer full time, $200,000 goes a long way.
But look, I mean, if they offered him 3/4 of what the top prize was, and then said you're guaranteed this, I'd take it. Could you imagine if you're at that level? And it's like playing poker, right? If you're at the top level of poker, and first prize is $1 million, but 20th prize is like $5,000. Well, if you offered me $500,000 and all I have to do is show up and play in the tournament, sweet, I'll take it.
Yeah. No. There's no. Not passing any judgment there whatsoever. I would agree entirely. It was interesting to see him back in the qualification tournament because we've talked a few times about his notable absence, and so I seen that back in. I'm like, oh, here we go. Maybe Rennsport's gone by the wayside and he's coming back. Dane Warren was also in there. He finished, I believe, somewhere around about the top 10. And for people that may not be aware, the qualification series, I think it's the top 15 progress through to the full Evolution Super Cup and an opportunity to compete for the 200,000. So Dane made it in as well. And there was a couple other, looking at the results from the last race, the top 10 were all co-ender in the race. So, it goes back to our discussion about top iRacing teams. They had a lot of cars in the Contender Series, and there was, again, more controversy about how they'll utilise those cars to benefit other teams, or other team members, I should say. And
so this is the qualifying series, isn't it?
Yeah, so they run the qualifying series across 7 rounds at the back end of 2024, and the Evolution Super Cup itself, the main competition, has kicked off already as well early in 2025. So the quality series runs the back end of 2024 to set the grid for 2025.
Yeah, okay.
And so
I was going to say, because I'm just currently looking at the lineup for the actual series. I haven't gone over any regulations or anything like that, but just looking at the team entries, not majority, probably 50% of the teams have an entry total of 4 cars or 4 drivers. But then Team Redline have 4 entries, and then Verstappen.com have 2 entries, which are both Redline drivers outside of here. So I would say that most likely there's probably a 4 driver limit per team, which has probably led to the Verstappen.com entries.
Yep. But if you look at the driver list now, you'll notice that neither Josh Rogers or Dane Warren are competing in the actual competition.
Yeah, that's what, because as soon as that said the name before, I was looking for it and going, where is he? Like, it's really good.
Yeah. So it kind of leads again to the question as to where are they? But be that as it may, if you look at the current championship standings, you'll notice that Cooper Webster is in first place after a couple of rounds. So, and here brings me to the point of we're following the Australian drivers in this tournament. So Jordan Caruso is the other. Technically 4 Australians qualified, but we've got 2 actually racing, Cooper Webster, Jordan Caruso. Jordan's obviously won it in the past. But Yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Like having them go through the qualification series, not show up. Obviously, we're not privy to the facts. We don't know exactly why, but we can speculate. That's what we're about.
I don't know. For me, I'm looking at it, and there's a Apex driver in P4 at the moment, so it's making Apex look pretty good. They probably should have been a bit higher before in the standings, but
I think P4 is exactly where they should be, to be honest. It seems like they just love P4.
I ate my own words on that one.
Yeah. Oh dear. But yeah, Scotty, what do you, as a commentator? I've always been so curious because we've had such a high level of success as a nation in what is the Premier Road Course Esports League in iRacing with the most amount of purse. It doesn't seem to have the traction here. I've mentioned that a couple of times, but what are your thoughts about seeing those names missing from the sheet, and then again a bit about what Cooper can do in that league moving forward this year?
I mean, he's just such a talent. Let's talk about the positives first. I think it's a big important part is that Jordan Caruso is also part of that lineup, and he sits 10th as well as another Aussie driver. If you have a look at what does Porsche Cup mean internationally, and how does it translate to driver skill? Well, what it says is realistically, the cars that we're growing up and we're very, very interested in translate themselves across Porsche Cup very well. So basically, the development cycle of the drivers here in our country is very, very strong, and we have the ability to go and challenge at an international level extremely highly. And I think you can back that up in the real world as well with Oscar Piastri, Daniel Ricciardo, Mark Webber, Liam Lawson, be it he's a Kiwi, we'll still barrack for him. He's still in and around our space. But it basically says that our drivers are probably multifaceted, but it also speaks to the challenging level of being able to drive a supercar quickly. All those drivers would have absolutely had some sort of grounding in supercar, and it develops you very, very well for the international stage. But it also, for me, I'm personally a very big Porsche fan, huge Porsche fan, and a lot of that comes from Carrera Cup. And again, well-supported category in our country. It just says to me, and I think this is probably where you're going with this question, why don't we have our own major Porsche series here? And we have a couple, but nothing that transcends and is really the top flight, I would say.
Nothing that you would feel, because there's quite a lot of guys that have moved across from the supercar to the Porsche Cup car, and you look at the Logitech G Pro Invitational Series. Could there be a Porsche Cup avenue?
I had this exact discussion Wednesday night with a group of people. So yes, my thoughts on it are yes, and to be perfectly honest with you, I see this actually the next develop. GT Pro struck me as like, I guess we could do GT racing. I'm not a huge fan of GT racing. Porsche Cup, I love Porsche Cup, but I mean, I'm biased, so. But for me, I think it would connect with our fans better because and the ability to market a Porsche Cup League in Australia, like we have such a strong identity with Porsche that there would be so much more, for me, opportunity to get in there and directly connect. So I see it as a missed opportunity for sure.
Well, Packets and I have been doing Porsche Cup just in the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, which for listeners' benefit is just the most, I guess, casual level of racing that you could do as a league thing, but the amount of reaction that the Porsche Cup series generates in that, just inside that league, I think speaks for itself. Like, generally the comment sections are filled with how enjoying it is to watch the race, because there's quite a fair bit of carnage. That just goes with that car being a little bit no assist type thing car, and also the racing is always bumper to bumper. So and you don't get that in the GT, but you get it in the Porsche Cup. So interesting one. I thought the participation and the interest might have been.
I wholeheartedly agree. Wholeheartedly agree. And add into that the Porsche Cup lends itself to a good variety of different formats of racing, I think is the big thing as well. You can have sprint rounds, you can have mini enduros, you can have heat racing. You can do so much with it, and the Porsche is like, yeah, we'll do it. I'll be able to do that. It handles longer stint running. It handles shorter stint running. It does both ends really, really well.
Any thoughts, Packets?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that have OnlyFans that do really good on both ends as well. So,
where are you going?
Onlyfans.com/packets.
Yeah, I honestly, I agree. I think, I agree with Rankin as well. I think like GTA Racing isn't as good to watch, especially for iRacing. And I think there's just like, we talk about it all the time, you or me, like, there's so washed out GT racing within broadcast and whatnot. I personally, and Scotty, you don't have to elaborate on this at all, given your nature, like your relationship with them. But like, I personally wish Logitech would go Supercar and Porsche Cup. As another series. I don't know. I feel like the Logitech series is so good. I'd love to see them do a Porsche Cup series. Like, I just think it'd be awesome.
One of the difficulties I personally think is that you kind of can't do like a GT racing as like a feeder series, or like say like a air quotes Super 2, whereas Porsche Cup you can. You can run it as a support category and it works. Whereas GT, if you look, I'm talking at racing at a national level in the real world, you get a tin top category. You never get a GT category that goes and follows supercars around, but there's always Porsche Cup.
Yeah.
Porsche Cup.
Yeah.
And they're always well received.
Racing's brilliant.
I lost track of time on that one, but I'm going to call that 15 minutes because I think we're all, believe it or not, we're all on board there, and quite a surprise not to see a relevant top end league in Australia for the Porsche Cup car, considering the success level that's there.
I think there are certainly, the Porsche Cup community supports it, and it is supported, but there's nothing that really stands out as like, this is the gold standard. Like, if you want to compete in Porsche Cup in Australia, there's nothing that goes, yeah, I'm the biggest and I'm the best. Everything that's sort of like, yeah, I'm good. But you can go to SRW, you can go to AOG, you can go to wherever. There's a bunch of little Porsche Cup leagues, but they're little.
If we weren't seldom, they're not season to season.
Yeah, if we weren't Australian, we probably wouldn't be talking about this. The fact that we've got the supercars in our country, and the fact that supercars are so big within leagues and broadcasts here, it's probably one of the biggest killers for the Porsche Cup series being so good here.
I mean, I don't know. I think it makes it better because, if people are smart and they want to get better at racing in general, and in particular the supercar, but they're maybe not, they're a little bit worn out in the supercar, the Porsche Cup, you jump straight into it.
You just answered your own question there. You said if people are smart, people are not smart.
Sorry, I'm bad.
Hey, don't you talk about our listeners like that. No.
And we lost half of them.
Yes, there we go. Oh,
no, down to one.
Packets. Yeah, Packets is very cold. We've got more hosts than people listening.